Hello. This presentation covers the steps to writing a response or reaction essay. First of all, a response-reaction essay expresses your opinion or position on a topic, usually responding to a text you've read or a visual content you've watched, presenting your subjective stance based on rational evaluation, not emotional reaction. A typical outline of a reaction-response essay could be as follows: introduction, main body, and conclusion. The introduction introduces the topic in general and finishes with a thesis statement that states the main aim of the essay. There are two types of main body paragraphs. The first one is the summary paragraph and the second one is the reaction paragraph. Finally, we wrap it all up with a conclusion paragraph. So this is a typical outline where the summary paragraph summarizes the text, citing the original from time to time, following the steps of summarizing and paraphrasing, and making sure to write only the ideas in the original text. Here, your ideas should not appear. And the response paragraph expresses your own thoughts about the issue and how it is covered, referring to but not repeating the summary points or the original. Let's take a look at each part of this type of essay one by one, starting with the introduction. The human being can be a cruel animal, and it goes on. Now, this is a general introduction to the topic to warm the reader up to what we are going to say. Notice how the sentence flows with the ideas being a cruel animal, one of the cruelest acts, so one of this here, making negative comments about others' appearances. This is called body shaming, and here is a definition of the topic for the reader who doesn't know what it is. So it starts with being cruel, gives an example of a cruel act, and names it, which smoothly flows to the definition of body shaming. Finally, in this paragraph, we have our thesis statement, which mentions the article by name, mentions the author by name, and gives a general organization or information about the paragraph, its spread, its effects on society, as well as offering strategies to deal with body shaming. So I understand that in this article, Danielle Calvis talks about what body shaming is, the forms it takes, how it spreads in society, how it affects the society, and then finally she offers strategies to deal with body shaming. So this information should completely be in my introduction for a successful paragraph. Having talked about the general introduction to the essay, let's remember that a thesis statement should be a clear expression of your opinion, should not be a question, should not be an announcement, should mention the topic and the controlling idea, can mention the idea of each body paragraph in a few words. So in the introduction that you have just seen, this fifth point was also included. Notice this third point, very important. Please do not write, now I'm going to write about the article, and so on. So looking at the topic sentence we have just seen a little more closely, here where we mention the name of the article we are looking at, this is our topic. And this rest of it is the controlling idea. It tells us what the author is going to say about the topic. Now let's take a look at main body paragraphs, the first one being the summary paragraph. Here, all the main points from the original are represented as follows. Body shaming can be in the form of something, something, something. Thanks to the social media, it spreads fast. Dangerous development with effects, and effects such as examples. And some ways of overcoming these effects are, and so on. So the four main points: forms of body shaming, spread, effects, and solutions to it are all represented in very short form in our summary without offering our own interpretation of events. Notice that there is also reference to the original in very short form. According to Calvist, which is how we should begin a summary paragraph, always start with a reference. Then in the second sentence, she claims that. In the next statement, Calvin goes on to explain, and according to her. Notice that when we refer to the original, we are not repeating her words, but we are paraphrasing it and presenting it in very short form, which is what a summary is all about. Now let's move on to the second main body paragraph, which is the response paragraph. It begins thus: reading this well-researched, documented text from a reputable expert was a revelation to me, and so on. So here we evaluate the text and author as we give our own opinion or our own reaction to both the text and the author. I did not know how serious body shaming could be. Then, I agree with the author. Notice the reference to the author here, that it is a grave problem and that victims should not only try to help themselves but also seek help. So this refers to the original without rewriting the summary. So this should be done very skillfully with a very short reference. And then, on the other hand, I believe that culprits are also damaged individuals, since a mentally healthy person cannot hurt another human being. In addition to offering help, authorities, experts should collaborate, and so on. All of this is the author of this essay is what I'm talking about. So the writer's own opinion about the topic. So you should give your own perspective. Notice your own perspective on the topic is 50% or more of the response paragraph. You did evaluate the text and author very shortly. You referred to what the author was saying using I agree. And then whatever you write is nothing on the original article, but completely your original ideas. Finally, in the conclusion paragraph, we start with a concluding sentence as usual. As stated in the article, repeating the article title, body shaming is a serious and widespread social problem that has grave effects. So, repeating the name of the article, serious problem, spread, and effects, you conclude the essay. From there on, you continue with some elaboration. Fortunately, it's possible to help the victims, but some measures should also be taken to correct the behavior of the culprits. So this was about your own opinion. If the authorities, experts, and members of society work hand in hand, this problem can be mitigated. Then, if nothing is done, however, it poses a serious threat to the mental health of future generations. We finish with some final comments. And this concludes the response or reaction essay.